All right, future CPAs, let's get right into it. Are you tired of studying a topic just to have it vanish from your brain a month later? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we are not just learning about joint cost allocation, we're going to install a permanent brain hack that makes this topic stick with you all the way from today to the day you sit for your board exams. No, really, think about it. How do you take stuff you're learning right now as a second or third year student and make sure it's fresh and ready to go when you're taking the LECPA? That is the real game, isn't it? It's not about acing one quiz, it's about building knowledge that lasts. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the next few minutes. We are going to fundamentally upgrade the way you see this concept so it just becomes second nature. Forget cramming, this is about deep understanding. So let's get to it and rewire your brain for joint costs. Okay, first things first, we have to wrap our heads around the core problem that every accountant runs into when you've got products that are basically born together. It's called the split-off point problem. Just imagine you're running a dairy. You take a whole bunch of raw milk and pour it into a machine. After some whirring and processing, two completely different things come out. You've got this rich cream, and you've got liquid skim. You didn't make them one by one. They were created at the same time, from the same input. That, right there, is the heart of a joint process. So, the money you spent on that milk, the electricity to run the machine, all those expenses that pile up before you can actually see separate cream and skim, those are your joint costs. They're the shared costs of that single initial process. And this picture? It's the perfect way to understand this split-off point. It's that magic moment in the process where you can finally point and go, okay, that's cream and that's skim. A second before this, it was all just one big batch of processed milk. This point is where our whole accounting puzzle really begins. So let's put a real number on this. For our dairy example, let's say the total joint cost for all the milk and that first stage of processing is a nice round $400,000. And here it is, the $400,000 question. You have to assign this cost somehow. I mean, your inventory valuation, your income statement, figuring out which products are actually profitable. Everything depends on how you slice up that $400,000 pie. So how do you do it fairly? All right, let's jump into the first method. Now, your brain is wired to look for the easiest, most obvious answer, but I need you to pay super close attention here because this simple method is actually a huge trap. The most intuitive way to solve this is called the physical measure method. And the logic seems so simple, right? We made way more gallons of skim than cream, so the skim should get a bigger chunk of the costs. More volume, more cost. It makes perfect sense on the surface. And just look at the math here. It's so clean. We made 100,000 gallons total. The cream was 25,000 gallons, so boom, it gets 25% of the cost. The skim was 75,000 gallons, so it gets 75% of the cost. 100 grand to cream, 300 grand to skim. It looks neat, tidy, and totally fair. But is it? It seems perfect. It's objective, it's simple to calculate, but this is exactly where board exam questions are designed to catch you off guard. This simple logic has a massive, fatal flaw. And there it is, straight from the source. This is the sentence you need to remember. Just because you have a lot of something doesn't mean it's valuable. Volume and revenue-generating ability are two totally different things. And look at what happens because of that trap. It's a total mess. We hammered the liquid skin with 75% of the costs, and it ends up with a 0% gross margin. Our own accounting method just made one of our products look completely worthless. That's probably not the real story, is it? So if the simple way is broken, how do we fix it? How do we make our cost allocation smarter and, more in touch with reality? Well, let's level up and check out the weighted average method. This is where we stop just counting gallons and start thinking like a strategist. Instead of treating every gallon of product as equal, we introduce something called weight factors. Think of them as multipliers that account for other stuff, like how complex a product is or how difficult it is to make. It adds a crucial layer of judgment. And the process is super logical. 1, you start with your basic physical units, our gallons. 2, you apply those weight factors. Maybe cream is way harder to handle, so you give it a weight of 2, and skim gets a 1. 3, you multiply the gallons by those weights to get new weighted units. And 4, you allocate that $400,000 cost based on these new, much smarter proportions.
So the whole point of this is that we're not just counting anymore, we're actually evaluating. We're trying to make the cost allocation tell a story that better reflects the economic reality of what it took to make each of these products.
Okay, deep breath. Let's lock all of that in for the long term. It is time for your high-speed LCPA bullet review. Get ready to screenshot these next few slides. You're going to want them. Here's the core difference side by side. It's super simple. The physical measure method. It's based on the raw count of gallons or pounds. That's it. The weighted average method. It's based on a smarter number. The physical units times a weight factor. It's simple, plus a layer of logic. Here are your key takeaways. Physical measure, yeah, it's simple, but it completely ignores the product's value. Remember, that's the big exam trap. Weighted average, it's way more logical, but coming up with those weights can be tricky and a little subjective. But no matter what method you use, the goal is always the same. Make the cost allocation match the economic reality of your products. And finally, here it is, the ultimate cheat sheet. This is the slide to burn into your memory. Physical measures logic is basically volume equals cost, which is only really okay when your products have super similar values. Weighted averages logic is volume times a weight factor equals cost, which is perfect for when your products are very different. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. As a future CPA, a future business advisor, your job isn't just to blindly follow a formula. It's about choosing the right tool for the right situation. It's about asking yourself, which of these methods is going to tell the most accurate, the truest story about what's really happening in this business? Nailing that is the real brain upgrade.